Morning guys. Well, I'm back again, back in the garage, prepping for another fishing trip. And this morning we're getting ready to go out for a cod trip again. Going to be down in the rocks, hopefully finding a decent fish or two, but we'll see what happens. We've got some really nice conditions. There's plenty of colour in the water. There's a sort of a dying sea with the wind dropping off nicely, so really perfect conditions for hopefully winkling out a better stamp of cod rather than codling, as you may have seen in the previous video. So we'll see how things go. Anyhow, I'm just getting prepped, getting my bait out, getting all my rigs ready, everything else. And there was a comment on the last video around the loop-to-loop braid leaders and how do you attach those. So I thought I'd quickly go through what I do with the braid-to-braid leader, which helps with abrasion resistance fishing over the rough ground on the east coast of Scotland. So as a precursor, I want to explain why I use a braided leader when I'm already using a heavy, thick braided mainline, and it's for reasons like this. So I hope you can see this against the darker background, but that is quite a large amount of chafing on the braid. Now that braid will now go almost at the earliest inconvenience. The next time that encounters some sharp or indeed kind of a sharp ground or perhaps a snag, that's just going to snap like cotton wire. Okay, so this is why I fish a braid leader. So all I tend to do is I pre-tie mine so that I don't have to do it on the rocks, and that's something I would certainly say is a great idea for you kind of anglers that might be out there on the rough ground. Considering using braid leaders or braided mainline is pre-tie your leaders, because it saves you a whole lot of time when you're out there. So I've got my mainline here, I've sort of inspected it for any nicks or cuts, happy with the condition of it, so I just tie an overhand loop. So that is just very simple stuff, a nice oversized loop. And I'll explain why. So you just go back through once, twice, 3 times, back through the hole that you made, and then you cinch that down. No need to wet it with braid, it cinches down itself. And that's the first part. So this is the main line. Trim off your tag end. Trim it off as neat as you can. It's yeah, so that's your tag end. Now, as for choice of braid, I don't think it really matters what you're using as long as it is thick and durable. So I've got here a 0.6 millimeter, just a kind of a budget braid, if you like. So on the other end of the braid spool, I just tie off that oversized loop, and the first part of the knot is just the exact same. So this is just a loop-to-loop connection on both ends. Now the length of the leader that you choose will be entirely personal to you. Your rod length, the ground you're fishing over, but I like about 13 meters as I stated before. So for the leader end, again, you're just tying the exact same knot, just 3 overhand knots to form the loop. So you're going back through that half hitch that you formed, pulling it down, and that's you. So I use a nice thick braid because, again, I want that abrasion resistance, but I like the qualities of braid over monofilament for rough ground. So that's one loop leading down to another loop. At the business end. So all I'm going to do now is take the main line, which you can see here, and I pass that, the main line loop, which you can see here, through the loop, of the braided leader. I then open the mainline loop up, and I pass the mainline, the braid leader, and then I pass the braided leader through the loop, so you can see there, and then I'll pull the entirety of the braid leader through that loop formed by the mainline, and this basically cinches down the loops without them digging into each other or sitting in a way which might cause the braid to cut each other. So this is quite an important step. Okay, so now the two loops sit in a way that the braid to braid connection cinches down without a hitch, and it locks it in. So you can see you've got your braid at one end, your leader going down to your braided main line. Nice simple loop to loop connection. The additional length on the loops means that it's not as sharp on the cast. It just gives a little bit more leniency for the line, for the knots going through the guides. So you'll note that these loops are oversized, as I've stated before, and that's just to make it a smoother cast as the knots are going out through the guides. So there we go, that's your loop to loop connection for a braid to braid leader. And for reference, I'm using a 70 or 80 pound main line here, which is 0.35 down to a 0.6 braided leader, just for that extra abrasion resistance. It casts lovely, and yeah, it's certainly been very reliable in a lot of scenarios where I might have lost fish due to chafing on ledges. So there you go, that's a very simple way to tie the braid to braid leader. So getting well prepped now, just getting the last of my bits ready, choosing my rod and reel for the day. I thought I'd just run through a couple of quick things. So I mentioned on the last trip staying very mobile and kind of carrying light, particularly when I'm fishing on the east coast and rock marks. So I don't opt to take seat boxes, instead I pick a rucksack like the Vast rucksacks, and I do leave my rod bags. Everything else at home I carry very minimalist gear. So my rod, I wrap it up using these Century neoprene sort of rod fastening straps. So this gives protection to the spigot if you're walking down along the cliffs, and then at the other end I use the smaller band to fasten the tip section together. So it's quite easy to it's very lightweight, very easy to use, and all I'll do is strap it on the back of my tripod using the Seadra Wrap It and Strap It, which is something I get lots of use out of. Real stroke of genius, the guys putting this together. I just think they're just absolutely perfect for your mobile anglers. Just simply wrap it round, fasten it down, and you're done. So it's really easy to use. So I just do that at the top end. Then you can just get the perfect balance that suits you as well, which is what I really like about it. It's nice and adjustable. You've got your padded shoulder strap as well, making it comfier on those longer walks. So what I tend to do is just down at the bottom end somewhere, wherever I feel I'm gonna want to place it. I'll just put a wrap round. So yeah, putting these on is really simple. They've got the nice padded rubber, so real thick stuff. It's not going to expire. The Velcro is great quality. Simply just wrap it round and you're done. Real simple stuff. But again, you know, this just makes your carrying experience that much better. Just means when I'm out on the rocks, I've not got rod bags that are getting wet. I've not got, you know, big rod holders that are getting wet. I've just got this lightweight arrangement. You might notice as well, I strap my reel to my rod before I go, and that's just something I do for my own preference. It just means that it's that little bit quicker getting down to the mark. There's also less weight in the rucksack, and again, that's just my own preference. It might work differently for another angler, but yes, Cedar and wrap it and strap it. Definitely worth getting. You can pick them up from Veals. I seldom use my rod bags these days because I just absolutely adore these things. So yeah, check them out. Anyway, I'm gonna get the bait out, and get ready. Yeah, so we're out on the rocks now. Clamber down the cliff face. Fishing again with Alan. Good morning. So it's a lovely morning out here. It's actually Alan's birthday, so we're hoping he's going to get a birthday fish. It's a lovely morning to be out, certainly. A good amount of ground swell, and we're just hoping we can connect with something a little bit bigger. Had a couple of casts now, and I've had a fish finger and a slightly bigger fish finger. Two different grades, and yeah, we're just gonna, not been out for that long, approaching high water. Fingers crossed we're gonna get something decent soon. Not really the slammer we were hoping for, but a welcome little codling all the same. So yeah, that one fell to a prawn and carp bait. Just a single hook rig with a little circle hook, and it's kind of, yeah, a little bit deep hooked on this one, so I'm going to keep this one for the pot. But beautiful little fish, nice belly on it. It's obviously been feeding well on something. I don't know what it's been eating, but yeah, again, small but welcome all the same. Hopefully we'll see some bigger fish today later on. So yes, we'll hopefully be back with a bigger fish soon. Not a monster, but another welcome fish. This one's got a nice bit of coloration to it. You can see this is a resident fish. It's obviously been sitting in amongst the kelp or the kind of, yeah, it's quite an interesting looking cod. So anyway, a little fat fish again. They're well fed today, so happy days. Well, there's another bait ready to go out. Just a compact lug and prawn bait, simple pulley rig with an octopus hook on the top and a short shank white gape on the bottom. Interesting seeing the difference between these two fish. You can see you've kind of got a fresher looking fish here, which has possibly been on the clean ground, and this one I would say has been in amongst the sort of kelp. So these fish typically have more worm in them, so there's a little bit more cleaning involved, but it's still nice to see. baits that have been working so far have just been simple prawn, lug and carp baits, just small baits with a circle hook on the bottom. And I've just been using the simple rig that I showed you on the last video. So dead simple stuff really. One hook, one piece of line, one swivel and one clip and one lead, and that's it. So I'm gonna get another bait fashioned up now. We're anticipating a better stab of fish, but it might just be that that happens approaching darkness, so we'll see how it goes. As you can see, quite a bit of swell here, so you just got to have your wits about you. The only reason I'm turned round facing here is because I can actually see the swell through the camera's viewfinder. Reverse, so. So I just clambered back up the cliff face to try and find a place to get up on the way back up, and I found a very alive dab about 60 foot up the cliffs. I have no idea how it managed to get in there. I presume a big wave washed it in, but yeah, just saw it sitting in there, picked it up, and I'm just gonna go and set it free now. Honestly, about 60 foot up the cliff in this little pool of fresh water. Madness. Yes, so we are packing up, heading on to venue number 2, somewhere with a little bit more elevation. Didn't really pan out, we had a couple of fish, but nothing near the size that we're hoping for, so stay tuned. That rain's just about to come on, so the filming might be intermittent if the rain is going to be on heavy as it's forecast, but we'll see. We'll get as much filming done as possible. So we are down on mark number 2. We have just kind of got down here, put the first cast out. It is nice and dry, as you can see.
Beautiful weather.
Real nice weather. With all this rain, we're not going to film that much. What we will do is put the camera on if there's a fish about. Got 2 rods out at the minute. Mine is out over yonder. I've got the Excalibur Sea Curve, giving that a little bit of a test today at height. And Alan's fishing the T1000. So yes, we'll see how we get on. But we're hoping Birthday Boy's going to get a cod. So yes, we're going to persevere. We're going to fish into darkness a little bit. We've got the head torches with us, so hopefully we can pick up a decent fish for you. So yes, we'll be back with more action soon, hopefully. So bit of a scramble down the cliffs to get that fish, and I had to just wind it straight up, basically vertical. But first fish blanks off at this mark. It's kind of like a new mark for us. We're just doing a little bit of a recce mission. We've wanted to fish this area for a while and we haven't been down, so yeah, delighted with that little fish. Nice little codling. This one was quite fun getting it up the cliffs on the Excalibur Sea Curve, but it performed excellently. So yeah, real happy with that. It's a proper fat fish again. These fish just seem to be really well fed at the minute. You know, they must be feeding up on prawns, sand eel and whatever else is out there. So yeah, that's a really good result. So we're happy with that.
First fish of the day. It's been a hard day. I've had a couple of bites here, not much, but finally got one. Hopefully they'll just keep getting bigger from here. Lovely little cod though.
What bait was that on?
That was on a shrimp, tiger shrimp. I've just put out another bait, black lugging squid, so we'll see how that does.
Well, there we go, after a little bit of a wait there, we've finally got a couple of fish sort of worth keeping anyway. So we're happy with that.
That was our result.
But yeah, lovely to see these kind of fish. Good stamp, good quality fish as well. So we're gonna hopefully get a few more for the pot, but we'll keep you posted. But yeah, that's a good result.
Fingers crossed.
This weather is just awful, so unfortunately we've not been able to get much filming done.
Right, so that's another fish landed, second one of the day. Slightly better stamp of fish. Very happy with that one. She'll make a good fish supper.
Has it got lice on it? I'm just noticing black dots on it.
It has, yeah, it's good.
Yeah, interesting. A lovely clean fish anyway, a nice example of what we're looking for when we're out winter cod fishing.
Hopefully there's a few more of these kicking about. That's the kind of size we're after for the table.
Brilliant stuff. Yeah, well, this weather's been absolutely unrelentless. It's just been persistent rain. We've just kind of stuck with it. At the start of the day was kind of like the flip. It's been a flip of the narratives. I had 4 fish at the start of the day, and I've had a relatively quiet back end, and then Alan's had 3, with 2 being a better stamp. So we're really happy to see a few fish, and Birthday Boy's had a couple to take home for the table, so you know he's delighted. And yeah, so we're just going to keep on fishing well into the dark now. Tide is dropping away, and we're hopeful that around the bottom of the water we get a few fish and maybe pick up a few more decent stamps. We'll see what happens.
It's looking up anyway.
Yeah, definitely.
Always up there.
Yeah.